Can you hear it? Supergalactic Fragilucious. Test, test. Test, test, test. You got it? Brian Aguilar, the beast on the guitar. New name. Remember, the road will still be golden, even when your highest faith, something outside yourself, is shattered to pieces. The road will still be golden if your prophet's words prove altered with lies applied to serve the selfishness of our minds. The road will still be golden if aliens descend from the skies and we discover that we are born of their light through their seeds. Rosie Neal's in the house. The road will still be golden if and when the nukes begin to fly and electricity becomes a dying dream and a renewed quest for living arrives. The road will still be golden when science and the stars collide with Jesus and the Anunnaki as Nibiru meets the third eye. We're certain of nothing but our own divinity. Our place is here and now. We are golden and we are soul, but much more than that. That's where it's at. Breaking through that multi-dimensionality, divinity, infinity, holy triad, the Trinity. We're bringing it down now. This is our time. Time to rise. It's a benediction, coronation, divine demonstration, human soul hybrid. That's right, the whole universe is on the edge of their... How's it going, everybody? That's little Ryan Aguilar, the beast on the guitar from my hometown, Houston, Texas, doing all that good work with Sevi Casteris and all that sacred geometry. If you look at the pages that are involved with Soulogy, what you see on the cover photo is what is actually Soulogy's sacred geometry. And if you look real close at it, it has a bunch of golden apples on it and the tree of life at the top and the bottom. We've got a really special show today. I woke up coming out of dimension and dream state and lucid dreaming and getting all this downloads and over here in Hawaii. And it was about, I don't know, 6:45 this morning. I downloaded to like 5 in the morning, and a very good friend of mine reached out to me. It was the first thing I saw. I didn't have my glasses on, and I was looking at it, and it was a very good friend of mine who we've done some shows together. And she said, "Hey, do you have a spot?" And I said, "Absolutely. Well, let's work this out." So we got a double surprise. And without further ado, I want to introduce two people that have been out there for a long, long time doing the good work and leading the way, and it's all getting exciting now. It's a very special day. So let me bring on to the camera Gregg Prescott and Michelle Walling. I'm sure you all know them. How y'all doing today?
We're doing great. Thank you so much for having us on. Indeed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, Greg is like the that bird that's always never seen.
The
I
king
asked
of the
Greg.
introverts.
Yeah, right. King of the introverts. Yeah, so you know, this is a platform Michelle knows. I'm sure Greg, you've seen it. You know, it's a
Yes.
platform for people like you. And let me just say, on behalf of everybody here and everybody on the replay, you guys have been out there doing this for a long, long time. So thank you on behalf of the work that you've done for humanity and for this transition. And thank you for honoring us with your space and sharing space with us today. So without further ado, I'm going to jump right into it. Michelle said there was a couple of things that y'all wanted to get into, and you guys can figure out who's going to go first.
It's always me. I'm the one that talks. He's the one that like sits in the back and does all the magic. So this day, we woke up to some amazing energies, and I don't even know how to describe it. But I thought about you, Todd, and I thought, well, I wonder when Greg will fulfill his promise to come on, your show. And so I got up and made coffee and ate breakfast, washed the dishes, did some things around the house, came in here, talked to him, said, hey, could you be on Todd's show with me so we could, finally get this thing going. I just had this thought. I had no idea the process of your new platform and how it was rolling out or anything. But when I went back into my room and sat down on the computer and typed the message and sent it, it was exactly 11:11 when I sent it out of everything that had unfolded in the morning. So I know we're on the same wavelength, and today's really special. I just can't describe exactly how it feels. Feels very similar to just like Christmas feeling. And I posted on Facebook today about how this year I'm going to be celebrating Christmas for the first time in 4 years in my own way. And in my own childlike way, getting back to surprises and magic. And so that's really how this got started here. And we just wanted to hang out with you. And Greg wants to share a little bit about his journey lately. And we'll just like flow with it. Because that's the way you are. We love you.
Yeah, that's what we do. It's spontaneous, intuitive, creative. Yeah. Yeah, you said something about in the message about shadowing and on Facebook. Was that right? Is that the term that you use?
Shadow banning.
Shadow banning. Yeah, it's official.
Shadow banning. Yeah.
About that. Some people, actually many people, have said they haven't seen anything I posted on my personal page since November 7th. And then I got another post yesterday saying that N5D was banned, I think, in Belgium. And somebody posted something from there, N5D, and then they got followed up by the secret police or something like that. It's insane. And then just maybe, I don't know, 20 minutes ago, I was sharing articles from my page to the groups that I'm in. After only 8 groups, I got thrown in Facebook jail.
Yeah.
They said I can't post anything. I'm only posting 8 times to different groups. So obviously we're doing something right. If they see us as that much of a threat, posting positive articles, we're doing something right.
No, that's absolutely, and I can back that up too. In two instances. One is, I did publicize it. We put up 12 hours of this mixtape, which is just these conversations back to back to back to back. No music, no nothing. And 12 hours over 3 days on YouTube. And I received my first strike. And they said, you basically get 2 more, and then we're going to cancel your channel. And I said, well, why is that? And they said, content. And I said, well, what do you mean content? And they said, content. So I was like, okay. And then today, because this was kind of, even for me, this was a little bit short notice. And I just wanted to make sure as many people knew that you guys were coming on. So I don't normally share to groups, maybe 3 or 4 on a show sometimes if I'm waiting for the audience to come in. But so when I went to make the post, I shared it to SoulogyOneStudios page, and I tagged y'all, and then I shared it to the Soulogy group, and then I went to share it to some other groups, and the first one I hit, it told me you were in Facebook jail. So
so he had the same thing happen.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's definitely going on. I think,
Sorry about that, Todd.
yeah, I know in the past, I think people are like, oh, they know what we're doing. And, and it wasn't really that palpable. But I think now it's obvious. And I was watching a really interesting, I think Jordan Maxwell is going to be coming on to the show here pretty soon. I'm waiting to hear back from him. He already agreed to do it. But I was watching it from 2010, him and David Icke on Project Camelot. And it was a discussion where they're both sitting down in Wembley. And they were talking about, particularly David Icke was talking about how, and of course, this was 8 years ago, he said, it's not so much about what they're doing in terms of trying to take on more power. They, of course, quote unquote, they, the you, me, we, and it that's playing the other side or whatever you want to call it. But he said, there's a wave coming and it can't be stopped. And it's all about this awakening. And I watched it for about an hour last night. And I don't normally watch that much video, but I guess I was supposed to watch it. So I think that's what's happening.
A lot of us are just merely encouraging others to question everything, not just the crap that's going on in politics, but our spiritual reality. Why are we here? Where did we come from? Everything. And that goes against the narrative. They don't want anyone questioning anything except the official narrative.
Yeah. Well, what I love about it, to me, the keys to the kingdom, are like Freddie King used to say from Dallas, Texas. And I know you're a blues lover. The keys to the highway are all we got to do is take care of ourselves, man. That's how this thing gets blown open. It's like and I love what you said, Greg, because even in the quote unquote circles, I don't want to even use the term light worker anymore, but say light keeper and grid keeper. Thank you, Lisa Brown. But in these circles, we're starting to have to question things too, because, everything is proportionate to the existence or experience that we're having. So I've seen a lot of growth over the last 2 or 3 months in myself and others. And I've also seen a lot of pain,
Well, Greg and I had a pretty philosophical talk today on the beach about, the beach poisoning, the fish dying, the tourism, the real estate, everything that it's impacting here in Florida with the Gulf of Mexico and on the Atlantic side. Everything, I have to believe everything is happening for a reason. And I don't necessarily want to think that it's all because we're being attacked or that, we're being singled out. If you go back to seeing everything from a higher level, that we are all the creator, then we created this experience for some reason, and we created this period of time that we're in for everything to fall so that it can be rebuilt. So as we are witnessing it, it's not easy, but what we wanted to really do today is share the energy of what we have in support for each other. I'm here supporting him as he's going through a hard time of building a website and working 24/7 for 10 years, eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the beginning, and now eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the end. And watching Facebook shut things down, watching the fires, California, watching the ridiculousness of the politics and all the different things that are happening. But yet we're still sitting around each other, sitting next to each other going, but we're still here and we're still having fun, and we'll figure it out. We'll figure out a way that we can get around all this censorship and come together in support of each other. And maybe in the end, we'll look back and we'll see that it was a blessing to bring each other, to bring our soul family together, which is what N5D is about, bringing star family together. And I just want to, share, to try to look at this from not a victim standpoint, but more of there's got to be a reason for this. And as long as we can stay in the heart and not emotionally react to when these things happen. Yes, sometimes we're being attacked, but it's more AI And if you don't react to it, that's how you flip the polarity of it. And that's kind of what we wanted to do, and hang out and share that frequency with everyone.
You know, I started writing about this back, I think it was in 2008, maybe 2009, about Pluto going in Capricorn. Pluto's known as the destroyer. It tears down everything that's in humanity's best interest and allows us to rebuild it in humanity's best interest. The last time that Pluto was in Capricorn was in the 1700s during both the French and American revolutions. And what did we just have a couple days ago? There's revolutions going on in France. It's all repeating right now. It's a cycle, but we're at the end of this cycle. What's happening, though, is everything is going to collapse. Money, government, religion, it's all going to collapse. And I told Michelle way back when we first met back in 2014, everything needs to collapse so we can rebuild it back. And it's happening within our own reality, but it's not horrible. I mean, peanut butter and jelly is good.
Well, I have to say that, you know, one thing that I always wish and hope and try to intend is that we don't have to go through a full scale economical governmental collapse. It's going to be different than we think, because there's been so much fear put out there about, you know, survival. We won't have to worry about that. What's happening is this bifurcation of the worlds. And there's a lot of magic that is going to happen when we can get the frequency of our group of awakened beings, of those who are going to be in a different reality, above the frequency of the technology that they're using to the HARP and the ELF frequencies and everything else. When we can get the collective above that, our DNA can begin to unravel and correct itself automatically. And that's what's going to give us the cognition, the remembrance, and the abilities to get through this. And there's nothing to fear at all. So, but I hope we don't have to go through this 3D collapse across the board with money and all that. But if we do, you know, then we're in it together, and we're not going to starve. We're not going to suffer. There, you know, we have to trust that we did not come here to be cavemen again. We came here to advance, and that's
I got a couple of reflections on that. One is at the beginning of what y'all were talking about. When I got the strike on YouTube, you know, my aligned aspects or higher self or whatever you want to call it, because I didn't go into victim. Well, I did. I went into like, man, what is this all about? And then I was clearly told right away, put a post out. It's not that way. We're pushing you. It's time for not me, but it's time for you guys to break away. Period. You cannot create what you're here to do if you've got a foot, you know, standing over here where you came from. You know, that's one thing. And the other thing that you bring up that I think is so important is this magic. The magic's real. It's real. It's becoming more and more, you know, evidentiary every single day, you know, more palpable every single day. I'm an example of it. You guys are an example of it. I know people all over the world. They're doing amazing things. If you look at it from a 3D standpoint, you know, it shouldn't happen. They don't have the money. They don't have the resources. They don't have the time. They don't have any way to do it. But the universe is that unseen hand of providence is making way, you know, and it's making it happen. And so that's exciting. And the other thing that I think is becoming more apparent, and this morning, for me anyway, it was my morning, an example of it is I and others are having recall from dream state. And it's not a human linear type of memory, but it's a feeling. And I know that we were all doing some serious work last night, and I know this was planned in dream state last night. And this is the other part of what David Icke and Maxwell were talking about on that episode. Is they were talking about how this is occurring, and that people just like yourselves have come here for this purpose, and that the very transformation of them which is expanded exponentially when they start to join together. And I think that's what's happening too. So that's a powerful reality that can overcome. And I agree with you. We're not going to have to do any of that stuff. In fact, this is going to be so good of a ride. We have no idea how it's going to go, but it is getting better, even though we are eating some peanut butter and jelly.
Well, the one thing that I wanted to talk about, just jotted down a few things, was my dream last night. So it is interesting that you say that. I do find myself in some very crazy dreams that don't make any sense whatsoever. But last night I was in a large conference stadium, and there had been some event, and people had left their trash all over. There was cups and trash, and then for some reason there were like books everywhere, and it was my job to go clean up the trash, clean up the shit's what I call it. I'm always cleaning up the shit and stack the books at the end of the aisles so that people could come along the carts and pick the books up. And there were toys, and I had to put the toys all in a pile. And then in one area there was like this garage shelf thing where there was junk everywhere, like just stuff. And I was kind of going and cleaning and dusting. And when I woke up, I was like, well, that's crazy. That doesn't make any sense. But then it came to me that what I was doing was moving energy.
Yeah.
Cleaning by adjusting, by even touching. And that's what we do when we clean house. It's not about being OCD and needing to have everything clean, although I am a little bit a freak in that way. I like to have a clean kitchen if I'm going to go cook. I like to have a clean bathtub if I'm going to take a bath, to clean myself, to clean my energy field. But it's about, even if I just pick something up and I dust and put it down, I have moved the energy. And what I came here for are a couple of things. You're absolutely right when you say we came here for a reason. We do a lot of work in our sleep. I came here to help move stuck energy. A lot of people who have reincarnated over and over again have been stuck, and then the beings who have forced them into reincarnation are also stuck. And then I also came in to work on this human being template that is tied to a planetary body called Earth, and to work on my DNA. And that happens by doing the work on myself through emotions, through things that appear in my reality that are challenges, situations, and to learn how to change the outcome of the situation differently than I maybe would have done, even a year ago, reacting differently and coming from a space, in my heart. And then, of course, you and I, Todd, have talked several times about this surrendering. And I have really seen how I have integrated higher aspects of my multidimensional self, and how I can sit back in some situations and trust and allow them to run the show. It may not look like we're doing a lot, but there's so much that we cannot see in our reality, what's happening out there. But when I felt the way I felt today when I woke up, I felt really good. And it's not every day that we wake up feeling very good. Some days we just don't want to get out of bed, and that's okay too. But today was special. And I just wanted to give everyone a reminder that we are doing it. We have been successful in the template. We're just waiting for the moment where we can flip that polarity and begin to see the changes that we came here to do on this template. And when that happens within, it will project out into our reality.
Yeah. And I'm noticing a lot on the live comments here. A lot of people are saying that they're having very vivid dreams. And well, of course, your dream was really profound. You woke up feeling amazing despite having to clean other people's shit, basically. So, but, and you've been having that repetitive, finally all came together. Now, the other day I had a dream. I was telling Michelle about this. I dreamt I was outside, and I'm looking up at the sky, and there was this hourglass-like constellation, and I didn't know at the time what it was. And all of a sudden, a UFO flies in front of it, and as the UFO is flying in front of it, the hourglass lit up and started sparkling all over, just blinking and flashing, as if the whole sky was lighting up. And I knew something magnanimous was about to happen. As it turns out, that hourglass is part of Orion's belt, which we see in the sky here right now. And Michelle's like the queen of Orion's belt. She has Orion's belt all over her.
It's all over my body, and moles. One time it was on 3 moles on the back of my neck when I was younger, and my necklace would irritate this mole, and I would look in the mirror and I'd say, look at those ugly 3 moles right in alignment. I need to get those removed. So I had them removed, and then they appeared on my face, and now they're on my leg in red moles. Who has red moles? You know, the only red moles on top of my thigh, so I can see it because I had it like removed. Now it's appearing here on the other side of my face too. So there's something very significant about Orion. I know that Orion births stars. And the belt of Orion seems to be that middle star, seems to be a stargate outside of maybe even the galaxy or, you know, the universe itself. So something about Orion that's very special. And plus, to share that.
Betelgeuse is in Orion's constellation. And they say that that's the one star that will go supernova sometime in our lifetime. And perhaps if that goes supernova, that's what creates that chain link reaction. Maybe in metaphor, with all those stars lighting up in the sky. I mean, if the stars are us, what happens then? Do we turn into light bodies when that goes supernova? Just food for thought, putting it out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think if you do any, you know, I've gotten a lot of, over the last 7 years, which I didn't understand, a lot of the galactic history, right? In my personal downloads. And then if you look at any of it and research it, Orion always plays a big part of it. It's almost like the inception of it, you know? So that's interesting. That's really interesting. And I think the other thing that strikes me too is what you were talking about with the cleaning up the shift. I get in trouble too much for cussing, so I say shift now. But I had I don't know, it went on for maybe about 2 months. I kept having these lucid dreams where there was that same type of thing involved. And I started to realize that what I was doing, because I had asked for it, because I had been a little bit more reactive and maybe projected on certain people close to me, stuff like that. But so the ease and grace thing came in, and what it was I was doing all my purging in my dream state. So I would have these dreams. I'm like, what the hell was that all about? You know, like, you know, I'm literally cleaning up shift everywhere, you know, mine, everybody else's. I'm like, what is this? You know, this can't mean anything. Did I eat some MSG, whatever you call that stuff?
Yeah.
But what it was I was clearing. And this is another thing. I've seen a lot of people that are doing that, either dream state or actively doing it. You know, T.L. Guadalupe, my sister over in Sedona, when I was in Sedona, she does Airbnbs. She cleans Airbnbs. And she says, you know, I'm not cleaning, you know. So it's all that conscious, you know, cleansing or clearing that makes the space. And I'm seeing a lot of cohesiveness, you know, in this human hybrid soul grid that we're forming. You can call it Blu-ray or whatever you want, but I've seen a lot of evidence that it's tightening. And I think this month is huge. Absolutely huge. That's why again, too, everything I've kind of been given with Soulogy is always like 369, right? And the 3rd was a big day. The 6th is today, and my birthday is the 9th. And then the 12th is a gateway, you know, so I'm starting to try to plan things around these dates. So I was really tickled to death that you reached out this morning.
Then we have the solstice on the 21st.
Yeah, there you go again.
We also have to be careful not to have any expectations and to remember that time is really not happening anyway. But I think you're spot on with the Blu-ray. I think I'm writing an article called "Are You Wired Differently?" And I think that the Blu-ray beings are definitely wired differently, and they tend to exhibit, different tendencies, maybe some ADHD, ADD, and then a lot of other different tendencies that make them kind of like not fit in. And that would be the typical starseed. But these are different, even more different than that. they vibrate at such a high frequency that when they come into the body here in their incarnation, it's very difficult for them to stay in the body because they're vibrating so high, and they find themselves having to do things to shut themselves down because it's just too much. Addictions, we all understand this, and lowering their vibration to even fit in. And the other kids, when they were young, they just didn't. They felt that something was different about them. Now, these blue ray beings, they are the Trojan horse, because what's going to happen is they're going to integrate their sun self, their star self, their sun self, their higher self in here, and they're going to be the Trojan horse that comes in and causes this energy shift, okay? So a lot of my clients lately on my life coaching have been either blue ray beings or people who are wired differently, and or people who have children that are wired differently, and or people who have spouses that are wired differently. And Greg and I have had the same kind of issues in being totally different in some ways, because I think that, he wrote an article about being wired differently.
30 signs that you're wired differently.
We're just different. And for the longest time, I couldn't understand why he did certain things, maybe got my feelings hurt. It's taken 5 years to understand who he is, why he's different than me, and that, to learn not to take things personally, and to learn not to try to force someone else into a change, but instead to understand where they're coming from and to try to change their environment and try to come to some kind of balance between us to be able to come together, because what the Matrix is trying to do is push us apart, push them apart, because the ones that are here that are either, angelic beings or blue ray beings or star seeds, or even the ones that are the originators of this reality that got stuck here and forgot who they were. Those are the real people here. And then you have the bots, you have the NPCs, the background, the Matrix, and the AI that's running that's trying to keep all of us from being cohesive. When we can become cohesive within ourselves, within our male and female, within our left and our right hand side of our brain, when we can raise our frequency above the low frequencies that they're sending to us to keep us, our DNA gets fragmented and is wired differently, right? When we can shift that and we come together, he froze right when I said that, right? When we can shift that, that's when this magic is going to really start showing itself.
Well, while Todd is frozen right there, just for everyone that's listening, and I know that Todd will come back. I've seen his show before, and this is what happens on occasion. But I know that there's a lot of people that are listening right now that are wired differently. And here's a great example. I've always had, on the back of my report card in grade school, fails to pay attention. That was one of my classical things that I always read every time. And I failed to pay attention because school was boring. I didn't like it. And I was looking out the window, I was daydreaming. One time I was doing chanting, and I didn't oming actually in class. It was 4th grade. Didn't even know what oming was. But eventually I ended up getting a prescription for Adderall for ADHD. And what Adderall is an amphetamine. And to normal people, what that does is an amphetamine pumps you up, it gets you going, it stimulates you. But for me, I could do take an Adderall, and like within an hour, I would fall asleep. So that is one clear sign of being wired differently. Also, if you're like an artist or a musician, you're using that other hemisphere of the brain that most people aren't using. So that might be another sign that you're wired differently. And what Michelle's doing, I've got that article, 30 signs that you may be wired differently. And what Michelle's doing with her article, she's taken that and going a step further and saying, okay, now this is what you can do with that. So it's really, they're both beautiful articles, and, read one and then read the other and you'll totally get it.
Yeah, his is on n5d.com, and mine will be on howtoexitthematrix.com when I get finished. But one of the things that we can do for people who are wired differently is we can support them with unconditional love, and we can. I have a family member who is like this. I have 2 family members, and we can encourage grounding. We can encourage going out into nature and things that can help calm them down. I know like one of the things that they do is they want to feel comfort. So they may wear beanies on their head or hats all the time, or maybe at night they want to just curl up and have blankets just wrapped around them, for that sense of comfort, being back in the womb. I just want to go back. I don't want to be here. So we can provide that comfort, and understanding, there's like a spectrum of difficulties for them being here. But this is all going to change when our DNA, finally, when it's not bombarded with frequencies, it will autocorrect itself and it will unwind and unravel and reassimilate. And that's it's happening now, but should be a final moment that happens.
I'm seeing a lot of people on chat over here. There's Stacy and Bethany, lots of N5D people that are also fans of Todd. I just want to give you guys all a shout out and thank you all for your support. While we're going through this shadow banning and crap on Facebook, I really do appreciate all your support. And as I've mentioned before, make sure that you subscribe, because you're not probably seeing anything that's being posted on Facebook. So subscribe to the daily or weekly newsletter.
Also, because Gregg has been banned on Facebook, it was interesting that I suggested that he start a new page, like a public page, like instead of his personal page. And it was on his personal page that he got completely blocked today and shut down and put in Facebook jail. So go to his public page, Gregg Prescott, and click like there, and maybe you'll start to see articles appear on your newsfeed more that way. It seems like we've lost Todd, so we're just going to keep talking about what we wanted to talk about. There's a couple of things on your plate. One would be Zentasia.com, and the other would be these high-pitched frequencies.
Yeah. Well, that's another new baby of mine is Zentasia. It's a new Facebook page. It's also a new website that it's very metaphysical, very spiritual. It doesn't go as far into like the 5D stuff, but if you just want to just introduce people to the spirituality genre, it's very user friendly. We'll put it that way, where people can go there and it's for every range of, doesn't matter how deep you are in your spirituality journey. It's for everyone, but it's not quite as woo-woo as N5D, but I think it's something that will reach a larger genre of people, and then eventually they'll probably work their way to N5D. And also, the high-pitched frequency thing. A lot of people, not everyone, hears the high-pitched frequencies. I hear them 24/7, 365. And I think we're getting Todd back. There he is.
Yeah, I'm back. We had a power outage. It wasn't the Illuminati. Hey, I don't know what y'all are talking about, but the thing on the Blu-ray, I wanted to tell you something, because I've done, this is the 657th show, by the way, and in these shows I've discovered that it's full of activations for everybody, and it's not necessarily the instruction or anything like that, but something came to mind talking about dreams. And I've been estranged from my large Mexican family for quite a while. And so about 2 weeks ago, I got some pictures on Facebook from my son and my brother. There was a wedding. They said, "Oh my God, every Medina's here in the whole world." I'm like, "Yeah, except me." Which is the Blu-ray way, right? The black sheep. But what was interesting was a couple of nights ago, I've been having 3 or 4, 5 days of dreams with these family members, sisters, brothers, father, particularly father, okay, which I think has something to do with this masculine stuff that's going on. But anyway, what happened was, I think it was 2 nights ago, he came to me and we were talking, and he said to me, "I know you're here. In other words, he said, I know you're awake, aren't you?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Well, I've always known that." And I said, "Okay." And he said, in fact, all of the family thinks you're crazy, but they know there's something going on with you, right? And then what really struck me about it and I'm seeing Blu-ray, Blu-ray, Blu-ray all over it. You know, like he said to me, and to me, it was like a representation of universal support. He said, I want you to know that now out here in the realms, we're backing you up, you know? So I feel like
gosh, I can
yeah.
totally confirm what you just said, because I had contact from my star family come through a medium friend of mine, because I chose not to be able to hear and see. I had a lifetime where I went mad, went crazy, because I could see everything and hear everything. So this lifetime I chose to go, you know, so I had this medium come through, my star family came through and said that for Gregg in particular, I can just use him because that's what they said. He has particular Native American family, and I think Gregg's a Blu-ray. He can speak for himself, but his particular Native American family, star family, that has come back specifically to support him and his kind and his family. So I can totally tell you that they're here.
Oh yeah.
And remember that lady? I can't remember her name. I'm so sorry. On Facebook, on September 13th, she took a picture of the sun. And next to the sun was this big golden orb. And out of this orb was all these ships flying out. And so I asked my star family, when they brought this message through, I said, was that you guys? Was that all of y'all that came through the sun on September 15th? And they said yes. And the lady in the video said they're back. So I don't expect them to just walk into our living room and sit down and talk to us. It's not like that. They're us on another level, and they're here to watch the show because we're running the show.
I have to
I agree.
Quick, and I'm sorry that I got up while you were talking, but
it's okay.
When you were talking, there was this high-pitched frequency, and I found it on my guitar. The tone that it was in, and the tone is actually on A sharp, which.
Let's hear it. Can you hit it?
Oh, actually, no. It's a B. I'm sorry. It's a B. It was a B, which is in between a C and an A sharp. But the B is the crown chakra.
Wow.
That's the high-pitched frequency that I heard. Now, I don't know. I just want to ask the people right now that are listening, do you guys, did anyone just get a high-pitched frequency in their right ear?
I did.
For them.
I did right when I finished talking, and when she said to me, oh, I can, like that, it started with me.
That's when it happened.
Yeah.
You guys are on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
Man.
The right side is your divine masculine. It's also the present tense. Left side is divine feminine, past tense, past lives or life. There's a divine masculine energy in the current life that's going on right now that's in the crown chakra. So it's not going to surprise me if anyone, and look at all these yeses here on the live. It wouldn't surprise me. And my crown chakra is tingling right now too. But it wouldn't surprise me if something major is going on, not only down here below, but as above as well.
It's happening right here. I mean,
I'm getting it lit up now.
Bring brothers together.
and all of us. I did a show.
Everyone here holding space.
I did a show on.
It's all about. That's why. I mean, we just have to thank you so much. Gregg's been doing this 10 years with N5D. He started out interviewing people like Jordan Maxwell and Dolores Cannon, and he has all these on N5D YouTube channel way back. When he first started this whole thing, and he's a pioneer. I came in 5 years after, been doing it for 5 years, and there comes a point in time where you just kind of want to hand over the baton, and it's not easy, and it doesn't pay anything at all. So. I have to hand it over to you, and we're here to support you and people who are coming forth in support of others. It's all about family here and supporting each other, and we've got a lot of comments.
My gosh, yeah. A lot of these people are confirming the high-pitched frequency, the right ear, the crown chakra tingling right now. So many of, and this is, those of us that are able to, and it's not that anyone, you were mentioning, I think last week or so, some people, we hear it, other people, they feel it. They don't necessarily hear it, but they feel it. And we're just reporting on what we hear. And that's what I've been doing every day on N5D.com. There's a major frequency that's constantly going on, and each day it seems to change. And I've been reporting on that every day, and as well as putting out a video that allows you to find out which frequency you're hearing as well. And they're recorded in such a high pitch that you can align whatever sound you're hearing to that video and find out which one. Every major frequency from A major to G sharp is on there. So
yeah, I saw a couple of those. Those are
every tone means something different, as you can see here.
Let me see that. Let me blow that up. Oh yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're not hearing high pitched frequencies and you're not feeling anything, don't feel like that you're just being left behind.
You're not.
You're not. It's just that we want to and support, share our journey and what's happening individually with one of us, so that, you know, I mean, he hears them all the time. Sometimes
never stops.
You know, sometimes I hear that high pitched frequency come in and come out on one ear or the other. But in my particular case, my deal is that when my heart activated, I began to hear a low hum inside of my head. And it wasn't out here. It was something in my cochlea, in my ear, that the vibration of my heart. Now my wings starting to grow, you know, and starting to connect and everything. So I have a low pitched harmonic frequency that encompasses many different scales. So kind of everybody's different, but this is pretty profound that everybody.
Yeah. Confirmation.
Comments,
It was amazing how many people commented there on confirmation. Yes, 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 yes. And I saw Sorsha Moon was saying that. So Sorsha said that I'm male, female. Sorsha I don't know. His, her, left ear was ringing. And that means the past and divine feminine. So be a spirit guide, perhaps, or somebody ancestral that has passed away. There's so many. This is like an untouched genre in our study. We've all met. Well, many of us have heard these high-pitched frequencies, but we're trying to figure out exactly what they mean. And I've gotten the meanings of every note of what they mean, and each note is even associated to a different planet and a different chakra. So it's absolutely fascinating to go into this and share this information with everyone right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I hear them all the time. I've been hearing them for 2-3 years. And I've got to the point now, like last night, I was getting a visitation and started to kind of materialize, but I was so tired. I was like, you know, and I saw there was like a blue and white light dancing over to the right of the room. And I've experienced some of this stuff with Morgan primarily. But anyway, so I was so tired. I was like, man, you know, I can't keep my eyes open. If you want me to open my eyes, just give me a tone. And so I closed my eyes and went bing, and I was like, oh shit, you know, back to work, you know. But yeah, and then on 11/22, I did a show with over at Lisa Transcendence Brown's house, and the same thing happened. And it went off, you know, this tone went off, and then and it actually carried on to the audio of the screen, and people were hearing it. So, and I've experienced some of that on some of these shows too. Some of these shows where one or the other or both will get the same thing. I get downloaded all the time and activated all the time on these shows. You'll see me moving around and put my hand up to my ear. I'm getting activated, you know, and I know, you know, just from having done them and seeing the energy, I think I'm more comfortable saying and confident saying I can see the energy because it's part of my mission. I can see the energy of the people, you know, in regard to the broadcast, and I can see what's happening with them, the connectivity, the activations, and the exchange of soul codes. So yeah, you're right, Greg. It's very real, and the more we talk about it, you know, the more it expands.
Mm-hmm. I saw Janie was asking a question in chat. Do you meditate to those frequencies? You can, and I don't see why you can't. But what I found interesting was that recently I had a new walk-in, and this new walk-in apparently likes swing music and classical. And anyone that knows me, I'm a hard rocker. You know, this is what I do. But for some reason, I've been listening to swing music. We'll play Scrabble at night, and I'll put on either swing music or jazz or classical when we're playing Scrabble.
It's been very interesting, Todd. Very interesting to meet this new walk-in. But I've met a lot of them over the last 5 years. It's been very challenging, interesting, exciting, and crazy all at the same time. But I really like this one.
Yeah.
So, the original Gregg is still there, but this is a high aspect braid. And
the original Gregg still likes Van Halen, Metallica, and all these hard rock bands, but I also like swing. And
man, I want to jam with you. Man. I want to do some soul speaking with you. I want to do some freestyling with that guitar.
All right.
One of the things I do in support for people is also people who know that they're walk-ins. Like a lot of times there's a soul exchange where a new soul has been coming and going for quite a long time, and all of a sudden, instead of passing and dying in the body, a person who got everything that they needed to out of this lifetime, perhaps they need to go to the new earth or whatever, they literally walk out and a new one walks in, and the new one sometimes has memory that they're walking and sometimes they don't. But I get a lot of clients who know that they're walk-ins and they're having difficulty in their life with the remaining contracts that the old soul had. And so, so I'm familiar with walk-ins and have a lot of experience with it.
And just getting back to Janie's question too, and relating that to the classical music, what I do with these high-pitched frequencies, I try to include a classical concerto in that particular high-pitched frequency. So if you want to meditate, that would be the perfect thing to meditate to, or you can meditate to that high-pitched frequency that you're just hearing on your own. And getting back to the walk-in soul, another thing people need to keep in mind about that is that sometimes your current walk-in soul or whatever soul, your current soul, can only absorb so much of this photonic energy that's coming in. And in order to get an upgrade, you'll have a walk-in that's able to absorb even more from maybe perhaps higher dimensions. Mm-hmm. So get these walk-ins, you're able to absorb even more of that photonic energy. So getting walk-ins is not a bad thing. It doesn't change who I am.
No.
Yeah.
It enhances it for sure.
Yeah. It's been fun.
Yeah. It's been
what?
Interesting. I mean,
are we missing something there? Is that something? What is that? What you said?
Well,
it enhances
this is the same. This is the same thing as integrating your multidimensional self.
Yeah.
All your different layers, and so we become more. We become different, but we're the same.
Yeah. Somebody asked that question. Was it a totally different soul? But I think you just answered. It's just higher aspects of Gregg in this case.
Yep.
That's able to integrate more energy.
Yeah. That makes total sense. That's an interesting thing, because I know over the last few weeks I've looked back on my own path and I've seen different times that there was a notable change, and I started wondering about that. And of course, now we know when we start wondering about things, it's not just coming out of thin air. This is communication we're receiving. Yeah.
Well, one of the things I'd like to kind of wrap things up with is, I, of all people, I have studied and read, and I have learned so much. And Gregg is such a simple man, and I'll come in here and just talk away to him, and sometimes it overstimulates him and he has to shut down, and I have to learn not to do that. But keep it simple. We're already doing everything we need to do. We have to trust that. And, it's okay to read other stuff, but sometimes everything gets so confusing. And then there's so much disinformation that's put out there by the Matrix to oppose what's right. Well, if you just get overstimulated and confused and depressed because you don't think that we're shifting or you don't think it's happening to you, just turn everything off and go out into nature and ground and just trust. I really love
surrender.
Really love showers and baths. The salt baths, take a sea salt bath or magnesium. What's that magnesium stuff called? The Epsom salt bath. Because we're deficient in magnesium. And one thing I wanted to sneak in real quick is, I like to use him. I like to use him as an example for everything. But my star family told me specifically, that, I was worried about my diet because there's so much different information out there about, vegan this, and then don't eat meat, or, paleo diet versus whatever. And, he eats meat. I still eat meat. We're sitting here talking to you. It does not affect your consciousness. If you need to not eat meat because, it makes you feel better, that's fine. But you can put your vibrations into meat. Everything is energy. Like I said, when I
agree.
You pick up something and you dust it, you're literally just moving energy around. So you can change the vibration of energy. Try to eat organic, but if you can't afford organic, our food isn't really organic anyway. When we have chemtrails raining down on it, we're watering it with fluoride, and the soil has, is poisoned. But we can't think about those things. Just try to be a human.
Yeah.
That's where we're at now. Is we are multidimensional beings now coming into a human body to be a human, and that's how we're going to connect with all the rest of the humans and pull them in.
Anyone that knows me knows I see things before they happen. I get visions. I see things in my dreams as well. I smoke occasionally. I drink, and I eat meat.
I'm a heathen. I'm a heathen, person, so you know.
But I admit it and I own it. Yeah, and you do too. And it's awesome.
Yeah. And well, I got a little whiskey right over here right now.
Well, see, you guys, but you're vibrating at such a high frequency. In order to stay in the body, some people, when they drink, the spirits, they literally shift it. They come out of their body and they don't realize it. But you guys need it to ground. You literally need to slow down your frequency. It doesn't mean your soul or your spirit is going to be at a different frequency. You can't change that.
I was talking to my friend here last night, and we were talking about this because we went out and had some sushi and some sake, and sake bomber. I had some sake bomber, and but and I said, the thing is, we're the center of our own universe. I've spent a lot of time with Lisa Brown lately, and she talks about how the body has to ascend and has to be pure to do that. And she doesn't mean pure in the sense of like the old pious ways. She means as just more of a scientific way. But I still don't know. I don't know, because I was talking to my friend. I said, well, maybe depending on what our origin is, and I know we all go back to the one, but like what planet or whatever, what the makeup is there, maybe that's how that works. But the bottom line is whatever works for you is what works for you,
Everybody's different.
Don't judge. Yeah. Don't judge those that do things that you don't approve of,
Yeah. Yeah. At this point in the game, we know it's so loud now. We know when we're not, we're not supposed to be doing something, or we're supposed to be doing something, So I totally agree with
moderation,
you.
Though. I mean, we know when we drink too much, I'm like, shit, why did I do that? I'm not going to do that anymore. But it isn't like I lowered my frequency and vibration so much that I'm going to not ascend or something. It's a part of your consciousness is what can pull everything with you, including your physical. Your consciousness can pull your emotional, your mental, your physical, and your etheric all into alignment. So
I'm with you. Yeah,
it's knowing and this allowance and connecting with your God self that matters right now. And when everybody works on themselves in that manner, it's funny because it's not really work. Letting go and surrendering and not reacting, and that's how we exit from the matrix. That's what matters, and that's what's going to pull everyone else that needs to go with us.
And I think the bottom line is that it, like you said, it's all energy, and I learned that. I learned that working with Morgan. For 3 years, it took me a while to figure it out. But once I started to say, well, wait a minute, if I truly am, which I believe I am, divinity, and I came into this thing with the Akashic, if you will, the whatever we had when we came in here, and then through these life experiences, we've added to that. I mean, it only makes sense to me that we could do anything. And so if it's all energy, I can convert whatever I need to convert. And I'm not saying I can do it flawlessly, but I know that we're making progress in that regard. And it really gets down to that. I totally agree with what you said. You know, I totally believe that we complicate things with our finite mind, and there's a beautiful infinite simplicity to this whole thing. And to me, it just gets down to two different energies. One's real and one's not, you know.
Remember, Todd, you're the Trojan horse. So you're going to do whatever it takes by food, by whatever you choose, by being human, to kind of assimilate to the frequency that you're in, because you can't change your soul frequency. Your soul frequency is that. So you're the Trojan horse. When it's time, you know, maybe you won't want to drink anymore. Maybe you won't want to eat meat anymore. And I'm totally for that, because we're going to have replicators. We can replicate everything and nothing's going to be harmful for us. Yeah. So you're doing everything right.
That's right. Yeah, it's okay to be a heathen.
Yeah.
Once a heathen, always a heathen.
I burn you with a Jack Daniels here.
Advocating anything. I'm saying that everybody's got their own way of dealing with what's happening.
They do. Yeah. And that voice is speaking to us louder and louder. And I go back to that video, which I swear I never watch. I can't watch more than 3 or 4 minutes of a video. But I watched that one last night, and he was talking about Ike was talking about how that voice gets, as you follow the intuition, it gets louder and louder and louder and louder. So I feel that, and I think there's solid evidence of that. You see it in people's lives, and maybe it's this Blu-ray grid tightening up. I don't know, but I see it, I feel it, and it's exciting. And I think this month is like a kickoff. I just feel like this is taking off now. Somebody put it this way, and they said that we got to the point September, October, where everything we had done, like Gregg since 2008 and you for the last 5 or 6 years, and all that stuff we've done that didn't seem to be getting any reciprocation, is all coming to fruition now. It's all coming to us now. I'm living proof, I mean, like, I don't know how I got over here.
And dude, you're sitting in Hawaii.
I know. And the crazy thing is, everyone knows that on the 3D level, it's expensive here, right? I didn't have any money. I was covering the Thousand Goddess Gathering in Washington, D.C. I'm heading back to Sedona, trying to figure out how I'm going to be able to support Morgan and I in Sedona and get her flown back over here. And the next thing I know, that voice starts saying, "You're going to Hawaii. You're going to Hawaii." I'm like, "What? How am I going to get there?" And then I was driving down the road with my friend Michael, and I just opened up the phone and looked at Hawaiian Airlines, and boom, $400 direct from New York. I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to Hawaii, because that voice said, push the button. And the crazy thing is, it just keeps going. I like, okay, I don't know where I'm going to stay. So the day before, the day I'm leaving, a lady contacts me. She has 100 friends on Facebook. She has one common friend. She says to me, "I live in Kauai. Where are you going?" I look at my ticket. I'm going to Kauai. I didn't even know I was going to Kauai. All right. I didn't know Lisa Brown was on Kauai. Right. And she says, "I've got a room temporarily for 5 or 6 weeks. You're welcome to stay here. It's got its own bathroom and its own entrance." And I'm like, you got to be kidding me, man. But if you look at Lisa's story, Lisa came here 5 years ago with $1,800, and within a week she had half her money left. I mean, she didn't have a car for 3 years. She took the bus everywhere, and that's not like taking the bus, in the city. This is like, we're talking country out here. So, it's the magic, like you said earlier. The magic is real, and we're evidence of it. And I'm a big believer that you keep feeding it. And I love your metaphor of the Trojan horse. That's never going to leave me after this day. I love that. I wish I would have thought of that. I want to say something, y'all, on behalf of everybody, because the last time I did a show with Michelle, we had a really good show. It was one of the best shows I've ever done. And she said to me at one point, she said something complimentary to Morgan and I, and that she knew how difficult, it is to be in a relationship in this transition. You guys have regardless of whatever happens with any of us, you guys have really been out there. You've shown that, we can always get knocked down and get back up. And it's something that I wanted to point out, and I want to thank you for it, because it's not about what we say, it's about what we do, and the energy that we carry, and the example that we live by. And you guys have been out there, and that takes a lot of guts in itself. And thank you.
Thank you. And so when we were at Gregg's parents' house for Thanksgiving, Gregg asked them a question about how many years have they been married?
62.
How do you possibly stay in a marriage with somebody 62 years?
And their answer was patience and love, of course, but patience. And I asked them individually, so they wouldn't. I wanted to see if they would have different answers, but their answers were identical: patience and love.
And I would say that forgiveness, understanding that we're in a matrix reality that is created by some brilliant creator to bring up all the shit that needs to be seen, and that we are reacting in exactly the manner that we're supposed to, even when we're mad, even when we're saying stupid shit, it's all meant to happen. So following this path, this play, this grand finale. And so forgive yourself for all the things that you've said to somebody or done it to anybody. Forgive them, because you don't always see the bigger picture. One of the things that I did for 2 days was to lie in bed and cry and think about all the relationships I ever had and how I got hurt and how I hurt them, how it must have felt on their side, and realizing that a lot of them were just different from me. And I was trying to control them and make them fit what I wanted them to fit into. And when I recognized that, I released it. And that was a huge thing for me. This work that we're doing is just releasing and allowing the emotions to move the energy. But that was supposed to happen. And every one of them was probably parallel in some cosmic war that I was in, or some cosmic situation in a parallel lifetime that I was having interaction with them on my multidimensional self level. And it all played out here on Earth. And it's fascinating to go back and look at.
Yeah. Yeah. And also
we've had past lives.
Yeah. And also, that's true too. And then also, some of the stuff, I mean, it's always about us, but some of the stuff that we're transmuting is for the collective. We are carrying, they talk about blue rays. Blue rays are healing the ancestral stuff within the families they chose to come into. Yeah. I ran into a guy that'd been married 5 times, and the last one was 48 years. And I said, what's the secret? He said, well, there's 2 rules. Rule number 1, she's always right. Rule number 2, if she's not right, refer to rule number 1. So I thought I'd think about that one for a while.
Well, and so on our side, we have to let go of the need to be right, and we have to understand.
Absolutely. I'm just making a joke. Yeah.
Everybody sees it. Everybody sees every situation differently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and like Morgan told me one time, and then sometimes it's not you, it's not me, it's just the energy. Because sometimes this energy comes down. Sometimes this energy comes down, and all you got to do is flip on the news feed and just, you can see it. It's out there. But no, it's all good. But I don't know about you guys, but not even just speaking to that level of relationships. I guess everything is a relationship when you get down to it. But it just seems like we're getting through this stuff with more ease and grace. It's quicker, it's easier. It doesn't mean we don't have a little discomfort, but that we recognize it when it comes in and we own it for ourselves. And I think that conscious awareness is spreading amongst the circles that we run around in too.
Well, what I've noticed, and another thing that's on my list here, is that there are some of us who decided to take a fast track, go through all the crap really fast. You probably as well have done this, but Gregg and I have been through at least each 2 bouts of extreme ascension flu. We're down to the bones. You're just chilled. You can put blankets on. You're freezing. Your whole bones are changing, or you're sweating profusely, and you wake up and the whole bed is wet. We've already been through all that, so that like when people are going through it now, there's a lot of people that aren't flying so easy right now. There's a lot of people that are having a really, really tough time, and because they're actually going through some of the stuff that we've already been through because we volunteered. I don't know why or how. We volunteered first without an instruction manual. But now that we've got an instruction manual and we can help others and say, this is natural when you have heart palpitations, you feel like you're having a heart attack, you're going to die. I'm not a doctor, but I've been through this. And I went to the hospital and there was nothing, they couldn't find anything. They did EKG and there was nothing wrong with me and sent me home, you know? So, you know, that's kind of what we signed up for. And yeah, I am at the point that you're talking about where I am being able to flow through it so much easier right now. But I do have a great respect and acknowledgement of people who may be listening to this who aren't. Doesn't mean that you're not doing anything right.
Yeah, you're right about that. You're right about that.
You know, if you need some help, we're here. We're here to support you. We've been through it.
Yeah, and on that note too, I mean, both of you have 2 websites. I know you're a practitioner, Michelle. Are you also a practitioner, Greg?
No.
Okay.
I'm a family therapist, but then my website took off, and I haven't done that since 2008.
Well, just so, I mean, I know a lot of people know y'all. I just wanted to put it out there while we have this crowd and whoever comes in on the replay. All 4 of the websites are listed in the body of the post, in the text of the post, if you guys want to find out more about Michelle and Greg.
Thank you, Todd.
You're welcome. What else do you have on your list? Do you have anything else on there?
That's it, man. Everything was like beautifully unfolded. It's like you opened your mouth as to everything that we wanted to talk about.
Yeah, perfect. Awesome. Well, let me just say a couple of things here. Well, I have the chance because it is in the flow. One is today is a 6, and I think this is very significant. Morgan Lee will be here tomorrow, so that's significant. My birthday's on Sunday. That's significant, and I mean that from a power standpoint. You know, I just feel this groove that we're getting into in December. We got 12/12. We're gonna have a big day, a big day on 12/12. Probably do 10-12 hours of programming. We'll be launching soon, and I just want to go back to the early part of the show when Greg talked about the shadowing. What did you call it? The hidden shadowing, or whatever you call it.
Shadow banning.
Yeah, shadow banning. Okay. This is the reason I want to make this clear in public. Soulogy is not Todd. Okay. Soulogy is an energy. This energy began coming to Morgan and I as a separate entity last summer, and speaks to us. We work with it as others do more and more every day. It's an energy. It's something that I'd been downloading for almost 7 years, not really understanding it. And it's coming to fruition now. And I would just tell everybody out there that that the idea of it is to take every one of people like Greg and Michelle and so many other people to one URL address, so that we bring in all that internet traffic to one place. And it's not owned by a Facebook or a YouTube. And we've made some great strides in the last couple of days. And so I would invite everybody's love and support and energy. It's pure. It's based on purity. And as I understand it from the communications that I've received from it, Morgan's received, that anything that's not pure will not remain with it. And that seems to be the way it's going. So I think this is a very significant broadcast in the way it went down. And I hope to see you guys as part of that. And I would certainly, we support what you're doing and your sites. And that's the thing about it. The sites and the individuals are just spokes in the wheel of the infinite number of spokes that can be in the wheel. And if I see the dream come to fruition, which I believe I will, every single person will have a channel on that network. It's basically a living Akashic, you know, for the next group that comes behind us, you know. So,
you know, we were just talking about something similar earlier, and I would just like to put it out to the aether, you know, or bring it in and toss it back out. You know, if somebody's listening that has the finances, that can start up a new Facebook, a Facebook that, call it Spirit Book, call it Soul Book, call it anything. Somebody that can start something up that doesn't have the censorship, that can allow for video streaming,
That's what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean,
let me go a little bit.
We're asking for the financing for so it can get up and running, because it's going to take a server.
Well, let me tell you something. I've learned a lot in the last couple of months. As everybody knows, I've shot my big mouth off and said, hey, we're going to do it here. We're going to do it this day, 11/11. And, but I've learned a lot, a whole lot. What we're doing is really cutting edge, but we're going to start it very basic. And what you're talking about is very doable. And it's not in the old paradigm where we have to have a big investment. We're getting enough abundance in now that we can launch this thing. It's just like this experience we're having now, as it's moved away from the past and the future, and we have to stay in this present moment of surrender to the embrace, right? But what I'm getting at is the way it would start is with one channel, like with the mixtape that we run now. We plug in lives and we coordinate that until we have 24 lives in a day.
I love it.
Every day. But the part about the profile is very, very simple. And I was very, very happy to hear this, how simple it is. And basically what happens is when people come in, they'll basically just join the community. And so it'll be their name and their email and a picture. And then as we continue to go with it, we'll add to that, and they can begin to build a profile. And everybody, I mean, I can't really explain it all.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, we're in.
And here's the thing. And here's the thing. It's all funded. If to use an old paradigm word, it's all funded by us. It's all based on this 5D commerce, which is based on the honor system and paying it forward. You know, and I will tell you one. I'll tell you one last thing is Lisa Transcendence Brown introduced me to her journey back in June. And she told me about paying it forward. And at the time, and you know, we're doing a little better now, but we were struggling pretty bad. But from that moment, I started doing it. I started tipping 30%. I started paying forward, and with Soulogy, as representing Soulogy, and the reciprocation has been there, and it continues to be there. And that's something that is real. That's part of that magic Michelle's talking about. And that's what it's based on. Because if you think about it, unconditional love is unconditional trust. It's the same thing. Trust is love, is truth, you know. So we just stay with our truth, and it'll continue to expand. But yeah, I'm happy to hear that you're in.
Well, when I started my radio show, Cosmic Awakening Show, I had all these people on. I supported them, gave them a platform. They were on N5D YouTube, and not one time did they pay it forward to me. And I tried not to be a victim. I tried to sit there and go, you know, I don't understand. They're getting all these clients, and you know, I don't have a 9-to-5 job. You know, I don't understand this. But it was a lesson for me, because every client, every show that we've ever done together, when I get a client, I immediately turn around and pay it forward to you, just because that's the kind of person I am. So. I told Gregg about that right before we sat down here. I said, you know, I always send Todd a donation, because he always get a client, and I always pay it forward. And that's what this is about. So it's so amazing that you're just like, your mouth opens and you know, it's just like what we were talking about. It's great.
Well, the great thing is that way everybody can focus on what they love, and they don't have to worry about all the logistics. You know, even right now in this first fragmented stage, we have people that have stepped up that like to do the web building and like to do some of the other stuff. So it's all coming together, and like I said,
don't have to worry about censorship either.
No, I made that. That was one of the conversations I had with the streaming platform a couple of days ago. And by the way, somebody said 24/7 TV station. This is basically the same thing, but it's multiple channels. But anyway, I told him, I said, listen, I don't want any problem with, you know, with content. And they said, as long as it's not porn, I said, well, I want to see what you have in your, whatever I'm going to sign. And it's clear that there's no problem. So they don't care. They don't care, because we're really the ones out in front, and they're just providing the stream. That's it. So, but awesome. I'll get with you on it, and everybody else on it. And thank you, everybody, for your love, support, and contributions. Thank you, too, for doing the work that you've done for so long, and for hitting me up today. And thank you, Gregg, for coming out of hiding.
My pleasure, brother.
And I can't wait to do a little freestyle.
Yeah.
Soul speaking with you and your guitar. Yeah.
All right.
Y'all take care.
All right. Be good.
See you later.
Bye,
Peace out, everybody. Y'all
Thanks for
take care.
joining us.
Yeah. Thank you. I'll send you a editable